around the world and across Nigeria. This is still Enterprise of Friday on Enterprise Television. And now to our main conversation for today. The single biggest news coming out of Kano State right now is the subject of our main conversation segment. There is high anticipation in Kano already at any moment today, Friday. Reinstated Emir of Kano, Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi, is expected to arrive and lead the congregational Jumat prayer at the Central Mosque. Sanusi was dethroned on March 9, 2020 by then Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, who accused him of insubordination and political interference. He was replaced by Aminu Ado Bayero, who held the throne now. Well, call it dethronement or re-enthronement, but where does it really leave things? It means Sanusi is now officially the 14th and 16th Emir of the ancient northern Nigerian city, having served in two different dispensations. The governor, while announcing Sanusi's reappointment, gave the five former emirs 48 hours to hand over and vacate their palaces. Sanusi is a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria who was installed in 2014 by then Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso, who is the political godfather of current Governor Yusuf. He succeeded Ado Bayero, the father of the man who was appointed following his own removal and who has now become his own predecessor. Still in the studios with me is Akin Fatuke, and joining us right about now is Oluwa Taiwo. Good morning.
Morning, good
gentlemen.
to be here today.
Good Thank you so very much for giving us your time today. Now, this we have it. And this brings me back historically to 1896, when Oba Ovarome was dethroned by the British hegemon. And this might be different to 2024. But where does this leave the throne of, or the influence and the independence of traditional leadership in our country, Nigeria? Let me start with you, Obelu.
All right. Oh, thank you for that, historical background into, having challenges with the traditional rulers, especially both within and outside the country, especially with the British rulers and the colonial masters. Now, talking about the Emir of Kano, as of 2019, it was disposed as of December by Ganduje administration. That shows us that a lot of intricacies in between those processes. There are a lot of legality, constitutional matters, also looking at the power of the state, talking about the constitutional power of the governor and the House of Assembly. And also, let's look at it, like you said, the independence of the traditional system of our government in Nigeria. Before we look at it in different view, we must understand the background that there's no governor without a local government. Mm-hmm. All right? So, there's no local government without traditional rulers. All right? And there's no traditional ruler without the community. All right? Mm-hmm. So, and there's no community without the tradition.
Very true.
All right? So, we can say how all of these are intertwined. There's tradition, there's a community, there are traditional rulers, there's a local government. So you can't jump the gun. There are processes and there are dynamics involved in all of these processes. And one thing must also understand that in the 21st century, there are a lot of civilization that is affecting our communities, affecting our tradition, affecting even the religious circle. So maybe civilization is part of the reason why we're having this conversation. If not, this conversation shouldn't have come up in the first place. Because the gods, as at then, cannot be blamed. The gods were always very right. But today, the paradigm has shifted. We are now speaking like that. The gods are not to be blamed. So then, who is to be blamed? If possible, maybe there are some people behind the gods. That means the gods are no more independent. And that is why the gods can now be removed by the power of an ordinary mortal man.
Very true. Now, Mr. Aki, talking about the gods, just like Oluwa did say, the northern traditional community is one of the most closely knitted community in Nigeria. The obeisance for those in that community is large and very, very deep. So much so that a governor becomes a governor when traditional rulers in the north say they would be governors. But right now we're having an opposite of the case. Where do you think we actually had it wrong?
The politics, and the intrigues all coming into a jambalaya is going to give us nothing but chaos. Okay, you may say that it's trying to wrong a right or right a wrong, depending on where you stand. Perhaps it's only pertinent for me to make a confession before I delve into a couple of things, and I'll do it in a few minutes. Lamido, Sanusi, way back in our days in the university, has always wanted, well, that's in public space, to be the Emir. Brilliant. As at that time, I just finished from King's College, and then we were together in ABU. So we sat, and the question was asked, what would you like to be? He didn't say he was going to want to go to the central bank. But he said his ultimate ambition in life is to be the Emir.
Really?
Why do you want to be the Emir? I remember very well. He said, Aki, one of the reasons why I want to be the Emir is because I think my father, Sanusi, was dethroned and it was done wrongly. I want to try and bring in that family tradition. We all split.
Wow, this is really, really historic
and
nostalgic also.
and took a dimension. When the same Sanusi was in Central Bank, he made it clear. I didn't work in Central Bank, but I know a couple of people who also told me that he kept on saying that is his main objective. So whether it's historically, like you said, or come down to Obalateru, Olagbegui, of Owo, down to the current Awujale of Ijebuland, who also will have fallen into a bit of an intrigue of remove him, not remove him, because of politics and politicians. Number one, the Kano Emirate Council is all powerful, extremely very powerful, and has been one of those institutions that we should not have tried in any way to infiltrate in politics. But you know, Lamido Sanusi, for who he is, was very loud. And Gagide said he was loquacious, and he was disingenuous to constituted authority because he kept on talking about some form of emancipation to his kids and king. And he quickly pointed at him, even your own life has not shown the kind of example that we should face. Peter, as we speak today, I know there has been an injunction, a court injunction, asking that that should not take place again, whether that will be bona fide, that the state governor and state affairs can be taken to the federal courts to stop, and then it will now then go on and on. But I foresee more confusion coming in. I learned that Ado Bayero had to flee, allegedly, and DSS, even though they had said that they didn't do that, there's a lot of confusion. Hey, political alignment and realignment for 2027 is right there in the offing, and I have seen Lamido clearly coming out and making the points. I'm not sure many people will agree with him. Some will agree, some will disagree. To say that the present government of Bola Tinubu required more than 1 year to right the wrongs, I begin to see the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob, or vice versa, in that direction. And I begin to see the Kwankwasia, led by Kwankwaso, who installed him in the first place, now winning an election by a very thin margin, where you have so many of the Talakawas that at the blow of a whistle, there might be a lot of confusion. It has eroded, in my honest opinion, the traditional hegemony and counsel to do what is right. We have seen, not just in Kano, elsewhere, the kind of obas, kings, and obis, and the emirs that we have that have poked their hands and legs into politics. Ask that caution be exercised as we go on. We're not going to see the end of the story. So now that another governor came in, so if another governor comes in later on, he will now reverse the thing. I think it's a shame, and I think the politicians should be very, very careful. I also disagree. Mr. Governor, you have all the powers. There's no doubt about that. Asking that in 48 hours, the emirs of Kano himself, of Rano, of Bichi, of Gaya, of Kamachi should evacuate. Smacks of we going back to the kind of military era. Again, let us be careful. And I saw that when the announcement was made, I know Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi was in River State, and very quickly, Sim Fubara hailed it and said that too. And he made a statement that this is where I like us to also weigh some caution. That you are here and you are trying to put some help to our economic agenda of taking River State forward. As you, as the head of the Tijaniya, 80 million plus, will help to galvanize. We're already bringing in elements of religion into it. Might is right. I like to say to my friend, Lamido Sanusi, sometimes you are not only right to try and stoop to conquer, but I think you need to be, even if you need to be very cautious. So I don't ride roughshod on people's idea and principles. The federal government, in my mind, we've not seen their hands, but we've seen some of the coloration that at the end of the day might be a grand plot, not only to put Ganduje and rub his face clearly in the mud. Abba Yusuf came in and started destroying edifices and stuff like that, created by people's tax money, not because you just don't want to hear anything to do with all this. And we begin to see that maybe this will have domino effects. We're already hearing that at the legislature, they are thinking of changing the national anthem to try and reverse. I hope we will not get into a situation where, because I don't like him, I don't like them, and all that kind of thing. Whatever it is that they might have done, we just overturn them. Like I hear that Fubara is also attempting to do. 24 runs cannot make one,
very true.
One right.
Yes. So, let's look deeper into this. In the Journal of Modern African Studies by Norman N. Miller, which titled The Political Survival of Traditional Leadership. He said, when politics invades traditional leadership, it makes traditional leadership look political. Do you think we are gradually getting to that point where history would write it in the future that there used to be what was called a strong traditional leadership that is beginning to water away with what we see happening today in 2024 with Kano?
Right. So apparently, with what is happening, history is about to be rewritten all over again. That's just the pure truth. We are writing a new history from the past history. And that means also that we are not learning from the past. You know, you can see the foundation of the Emirate coming from the Usman Dan Fodio, what happened, the jihad, the war, different conquests and the conquer and the war and the battle here and there from different kingdoms and different empires. So coming together, having one of the strongest empire, so to say, or emirate in the country, having to devise such as a result of political infiltration. Are we saying that the gods are not supposed to be independent? Or are we saying that we are not taking the place of the gods? Now, one thing you must understand is that politics is politics. Tradition is tradition.
Politics might come and go, but tradition remains.
Tradition remains. All right? And that is one of the areas where I've said it before, that look at the military. You cannot get anything substantial from the military apparatus we have in this country if we do not infuse, mark my word, infuse the architectural structure of our traditional rulers or our tradition. Because no community can be invaded in this country without the permission of the traditional ruler. I say that authoritatively. No community. If it was not permitted by the traditional ruler, an accomplice of the traditional ruler will have permitted such invasion. So no traditional ruler will tell you that he's ignorant of any invasion in his community. So what does that mean? A governor can be ignorant of a particular invasion to a state, but the traditional rulers has never been, and they can never be ignorant. You see what happened in Ondo? Later, some of them were arrested. You saw their accomplice. Yes. What does that mean? Somebody from the tradition was part of the system that hijacked and killed those traditional rulers. You know, the first time I had that news, I said it where I was. I said to my team, I said, look at this particular invasion. It's not possible that this invasion will happen without an accomplice from that tradition. It's not possible. I am a core Yoruba man. I was raised both in Lagos and in Jebuland. So I understand the meaning of culture, the meaning of tradition. You can just come from anywhere. So what does that mean? If the gods are now opening their mouths or their hearts and saying that the politicians, as a result of their financial capacity, should take over their tradition, that's another conversation. And they must also understand that if the politicians, because of their financial capacity, are taking over the art of the land, that means very soon the land will no longer have a art to breathe with. And if the land does not have an independent art to breathe with, the federal government is on its way to a journey unknown.
Very true. And lastly, let's talk about your very good friend, Lamido Sanusi. And you have talked to him, you know, and asked him to take the caution and all. But what do you think he can do at this point, knowing that as a traditional ruler, he doesn't have a mind of his own? He is solely dependent on what the community tells him. So if the community say, we want you back, even if as much principled he might claim to be, do you think he has any way to run to, even if he does not so much believe in the conundrum happening with politics and tradition in his emirate?
Caution. 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 Once it was that a man or a woman of power that had not just the power of life and death over others, even had virtually sentenced people, just a matter of signing. He went to bed and did not wake up. Akoluwa was making a point about tradition. I believe him. As a matter of fact, from the call Yoruba in 1789 or thereabouts, when the problems of Oyo, Afonja, Aole came to be, and there was a backstabbing, and the Alaafin placed the cause with arrows pointed in different sides, that perhaps the Yoruba nation will not be in a position to speak with one voice. You look at that, because he felt, yes, that is, I mean, by Shigba means
You are going.
I mean, your head is gone with the way Afonja came to stab him. So I'm going to be speaking to my friends. Careful, careful, careful. We've lost it. I see some traditional rulers as an example. Okay? Oluwo of Iwo as an example. I also see some traditional rulers in the Oni of Ife that I will always want to say, be very careful, because you have matched quite a number of things with tradition. And when you match so many things and you have mixed so many things with tradition, you lose your relevance. You may be in power today. You may be calling the shots today. The Kwankwasia might have brought you back today. But they say the Englishman that did the pencil is also the one that created the eraser. So you need to be cautious. So my advice to you, always talk about Gestapo entering Kano and everybody buying down and all that. I'm not saying it's not something that is not part of your pecs, but this is the time for you to exercise caution. And then you make a statement. If our people say you are the one we want, how do we establish that? You are no more there. Ado came there, and the same crowd was saying that this is the next best thing to happen. You are back there, people are shouting. Like Voltaire, the philosopher in France, said, these same people that you see coming out to hail me will also be the ones that will come out and say to the good time, when my time is come. And to the politicians, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, caution, 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 because what happened or is happening in Kano might be waiting to happen in Lagos. People that will be able to read my lips should know that we have a number of Lagos that was said was installed by you and all that. So if you no more go there, does that mean? So we need to keep the tradition and keep the cloths of politics out of the way, so that we can give good meaning and dividend of leadership to our people.
Very, very true. So apt. And the truth remains that the fabric of every human being lies on the tradition from where they come from. When the tradition is beginning to get infiltrated by what I would call the necessary distractions, then it becomes polluted. And when it does, the good governance, as it were, might not really be feasible. I love to say my big thank you to Oluwa Taiwo for being part of our show. It was really indeed a very great discussion we have, and Akin Fatuke. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
For being part of our show.
It's a pleasure for coming.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good to be here, sir.
Most importantly, for you, we'd love to say thank you also for making that time to be part of our show every other day. But please do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms and Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igudiki. I'll see you next Friday for yet another great time. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye from us.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.